The popular image of Spartan upbringing, the idea that only the toughest and strongest survived, is not far from the truth. Life in Sparta, especially for boys, was brutally demanding from the very beginning. At birth, a Spartan infant was washed in wine, supposedly to test his strength and hardiness. The newborn was then presented to a panel of elders for inspection. If the child appeared weak, sickly, or deformed, he was abandoned on a mountainside to die of exposure. Only those deemed strong enough were allowed to live and become part of the Spartan community. Until age 7, boys remained at home with their mothers. At 7, every Spartan boy entered the Agōgē, the state-run military education system. From that point forward, he lived, trained, and slept in barracks with boys from his age group. Their instruction focused almost entirely on survival skills, endurance, discipline, obedience, and physical toughness. Reading and writing were taught, but only at a rudimentary level. Spartans believed these skills were of little importance compared to warfare. Food was deliberately scarce. Boys were encouraged to steal to make up the difference, but they were punished severely if caught. Not for stealing, but for being careless enough to get caught. They trained barefoot, slept on hard beds, and endured harsh punishments designed to cultivate physical and emotional resilience. One famous story tells of a Spartan boy who hid a stolen fox under his cloak rather than admit his crime. He let the animal tear into his flesh without showing pain. Training included running, jumping, wrestling, javelin throwing, discus, swimming, and hunting. Harsh discipline was constant, and boys learned to take pride in how much pain they could tolerate. Although literacy was discouraged, music and dance formed part of their education, primarily because rhythm and coordination were considered essential for fighting in the phalanx. Unlike most Greek city-states, Sparta also trained its girls. While they stayed at home rather than living in barracks, their physical training mirrored that of the boys: running, jumping, throwing, and wrestling. Spartans believed that strong women produced strong sons. Between ages 18 and 20, young men underwent a rigorous examination, testing fitness, leadership, and military ability. Those who passed continued their military training and were enrolled in a mess group, a communal dining club that functioned as both a military unit and a social group. Membership was essential. A man rejected by the mess was considered unworthy of Spartan citizenship and was often expected to leave the country or even take his own life. After approximately 11 years of training, a Spartan entered full military service at age 18 and remained on active duty until age 30. At 30, he was finally allowed to live at home, marry, and participate in government. If he lacked a wife, the state found him one. The state also provided land and helots to farm it. Even then, he was still required to eat the main daily meal with his mess group rather than his family. In wartime, all Spartan men served as long as they were physically capable. This lifelong military organization gave Sparta the strength it needed to control its enormous helot population. The structure of Spartan society, its institutions, customs, and values, was shaped entirely by the necessity of maintaining military dominance. Because Spartan citizens did not farm, the helots did the agricultural labor, they could devote themselves fully to military life. In contrast, other Greek poleis fielded citizen militias, farmers, craftsmen, and laborers who fought only during the summer after crops were planted and before harvest. These amateur fighters returned to their daily work afterward and did not train year-round. Sparta's professional soldiers, trained from childhood, were far superior in discipline, cohesion, and willingness to fight. For nearly 3 centuries, no Greek army could defeat the Spartans in a straightforward land battle. Yet Sparta's power had limits. Although they could conquer other states militarily, the Spartans quickly realized they could not hold on to distant territories without leaving their homeland vulnerable to a helot uprising. Their security depended on keeping most of their army close to home. As a result, Sparta adopted an isolationist foreign policy, avoiding long campaigns far from Laconia. In the mid-500s BCE, Sparta formed the Peloponnesian League with neighboring states. Within this alliance, Sparta acted as a guarantor of stability. If any Greek polis felt threatened by a neighbor, it could appeal to Sparta for support. Often, a mere Spartan threat of intervention was enough to settle disputes. This policy earned the Spartans a reputation as protectors of weaker states and allowed the Greek polis system to develop free from the political and military pressures that shaped early states in places like Mesopotamia.